From high atop the penthouse suite here in the lap of luxury.
High atop the top of our heads. Can't see it.
This is the Van Allen's Attic with your host and director and animator extraordinaire, Mr. Keith Van Allen.
I don't know.
And a special guest star,
Ordinaire. Jonathan Harris.
Kaye Lazar.
No,
Jonathan Harris.
it's Jonathan Harris.
Oh, Jonathan Harris. I can tell you all about Jonathan Harris. That was a great rehearsal we had earlier. Now we're back.
That's visual music, folks. That's right. It goes around
Now make that sound out of your mouth again.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It's going to start again, I know.
That was great. That was great.
Is that it? No, that's it. Well, it stopped. All by
Just
I
play
use
the
mental.
theme
I use
over and
mental
over.
telepath to stop. You know, I think if you practice, get it right in the groove, you can control
Yeah.
your computer
Yeah.
with your brain. With your brain. Your brain will suffuse the computer with alpha waves and beta waves and whatever it comes after alpha beta.
Omega. No, Alpha Beta. I forget them all.
Something.
Yeah.
Something.
Oh, what's that?
Something. I don't know.
Oh, I love that thing. It's Sherlock Holmes's.
Meerschaum pipe.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a voice on it.
Yeah. I bought that for my mother just right before she died at 101. Try to cheer her up a little bit because I had to put her in the home for the last couple of weeks and she was a little depressed.
Yeah.
But she had a great time here at the house for 3 years in the bed with a stroke.
Yeah.
And I played that for her. She said it sounded like my brother. I loved it. That made me feel great.
Yeah.
I don't know if my brother, but anyway, it was the last thing I put her on videotape.
This is. Yes.
Say something, Kevin.
This is the prop show
Yeah.
where the poor man's Jay's garage.
Yeah. Poor man Jay Leno's garage. Yeah.
They should have. This show should be on the History Channel.
Yeah. It's history already. It's your history.
Yeah, with no commercials or anything.
I know.
No, do we have a lot of?
We don't.
Yeah.
Well, sort of commercials. We
Yeah.
show a lot of. We show a lot of products.
Yeah, Goonie Golf. That's all about Goonie Golf.
Goonie Golf. This. You
golfer?
might think it was an actual thing. Well, it was an actual thing, but it was built by my dad down in the woods back of the house, and it was like a putt-putt golf course. And he had the trees rigged up with holes in the trees, and and he took PCV pipe, and he had whole little greens with holes in them, and he used all the trees and everything.
Yeah.
And
wow.
He painted a sign. Or he told me to paint a sign. It was on a screen. He hung a screen, and I painted Goonie Golf on it with a goon, and we hung it.
Oh,
and
it's
the neighbors used to come over.
Yes.
And and play goonie
And
golf.
play goonie golf?
Yeah.
Well, your place was a real. Had a swimming pool, had
Swimming
a golf course,
archery range
for children, archery range.
Well, my dad was the main guy that sat back there. He would put up his chase lounge and lay back there all day with his goonie golf.
I've heard of Disneyland. This was Van Allen.
Van Allen Land. We had a golf. We had a one-hole golf.
Van Allen.
We had a one-hole golf course.
Yeah.
And my brother got a hole-in-one in it once. It was like a par 3.
Yeah.
And with a green and a sand trap. And way back we had a baseball diamond. And we had an archery range because we used to shoot archery. What else? We fed a lot of squirrels. I once photographed 4 or 5 squirrels in a row going down the back of the yard with peanuts. And then I took a picture of them, like lined up in a straight line. All these squirrels. And Dad and Joe Gallagher, the guy from our church, used to shoot a lot of big golf. They wanted to shoot an even bigger golf course, so they'd go out to the road and hit balls over the house.
A lot of broken windows.
And my mother was sweating that out the whole time. And around the house, but over the house, it was pretty.
I used to play softball when I was a kid, and we'd throw the football around in the yard. And once the window broke, that was the end. That was the end of the game. We'd play all day until the window broke.
Well, in this room up here,
where the frisbee got on the roof.
In this room up here, my dad finished it off.
Yeah.
It was like an attic with just, what do you call it, insulation when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Back when I was afraid of Frankenstein coming up here. But gradually he finished it off. But while he was doing that, in the winter, he didn't want to give up his archery.
No.
So he put a target up over here. And where the door is now, that used to be a window before they added on to that end of the house. And Dad and I were up here shooting archery from down that end.
Oh, God.
And one time he shot a pane out of the window.
Oh, boy.
And the arrow went to the next door neighbor.
I wouldn't trust members of my family in archery because they would probably, someone would have, there would have come a day with the William Tell, would have put an apple on someone's head. And I think William Burroughs killed his wife that way with a shotgun, with a pistol.
Wow.
Yeah. He couldn't live in America. He was for like 10 years.
You ever go fishing with a pistol?
No.
It's raining out there. It's so much rain you could grab a fish out of the window today.
I don't know why I drove over here. I should have taken an arc.
Noah had to deal with fish.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fish in the ocean, Kevin.
And
wherever there's water, you usually find fish.
I got a fish.
You got a fish?
Yeah.
You notice I gave
remember these fish? Remember these fish? I haven't turned this on in years.
No.
So let's
see what happens.
I think it's plugged in. Let's see. Okay. Want to do it? Let's see how it works.
Try it.
Oh, here we go. It is working.
I wanna know, can you help me? I know today, but
what the hell?
You're electrocuted. It's a Frankenstein fish.
It's electric eel.
It's a fish fart. That ought to teach you.
What is this?
If you've got one of these things, leave it on the wall. Don't play it.
Gosh, did it always? No, this is the first time. I mean,
I haven't played it for a long time, but no, it didn't do that. There's some sort of esoteric meaning of the universe involved with this.
The Bronx Cheer.
Yeah, he's channeling something. I don't know.
Take him to a Yankees game.
Yeah, I know. It used to work. It used to work.
It's a nice song.
I think it has to do with
Al Green.
With the what do they call it? A celluloid, a sterno? No, a servo, or whatever the thing makes him turn his head.
I don't know.
Something rattling on that. Take me to the river. That's what he's supposed.
Al Green.
That's supposed to be.
What if Al Green actually performed like that? That would be wild.
So
anyway,
heads. Hide that somewhere.
Yes.
And I got another fish.
Oh, okay. You have another fish.
I have another fish. It's a fishy day in London town.
Fish.
The British Museum.
This show's a ichthyologist.
The British Museum is full of fish.
Yeah.
And I want to be careful with this one.
No, okay.
But you mentioned last week that you thought it was going to talk.
Oh!
And that's what
that's
what gave me the whole idea.
Oh, okay.
Of what object to show.
This is a real fish?
Yeah, that's old...
Oh, yeah.
That's a croaker.
That looks real.
It
is real.
Yeah. It was caught in the York River.
Yeah.
And environmentalists might be interested to know that they don't grow this big anymore. They used to grow big in the York River, and I guess Powhatan and the Indians lived off of them.
Listen, kid.
Listen, you mug. You got a mug like a fish. Say.
Listen, you're going to sleep with the fishes if I get really.
And I want to smoke a cigar underwater, say. I want bubbles coming out of my cigar so I can look tough. And start talking like Thurston Howell the Third.
Now, what's the back of it look like?
Oh. Taxidermy.
Oh, look. Here's the secret.
It's
all his guts.
Yeah, that's a piece of wood with some plaster filling up the gaps.
Why does fish? Do fish? Sometimes you see fish and they have blood.
I've got another one. Now
sometimes they just have guts.
My dad got that at DuPont. He always knew people at DuPont that did this and did that, and he'd bring stuff. I got a lot of cool stuff that he brought home from DuPont.
I don't mind fish or marlins or deer, but when they take the little mice and stuff and put hats on them and everything and make them in a tableau, that kind of freaks me out.
Fish do that?
No,
taxidermists. They ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Taxidermists.
Oh, I thought fish do that to my...
Fish do it. Bees do it.
Play on your knees.
Do it. Yes. Oh man. And wow, this is like Pee-wee's Playhouse in here. All you need is a secret word.
I almost worked
Goonie Golf is our secret word.
I almost worked on Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Phil Trumbo, did, but and I was offered a job too, and I had two jobs offered me at the same time, and I took the other one up in Canada.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd taken the Pee-wee, because it would have been a lot easier job. The other one was fraught with a lot of political problems, which meant hardly nothing to pay. No pay.
It was in Canada?
I was doing a TV. I was directing a pilot for no money.
Yeah.
And I did some commercials. No, my old friend Pascal Blay was the boss, more or less, and he had this job, and he called me. It's always whenever you get an opportunity, you get two of them, and you have to choose.
I know. You wish these people were there early on so you could do both of them. Yeah. But then they all come at once and say, well, what am I going to do?
But I went up to the studio that was doing the effects for the Pee-wee's Playhouse that was in D.C., and they wanted me to animate a pencil.
Yeah.
It was an animated cartoon pencil. And that didn't seem like overly exciting, but I should have taken that job.
Yeah.
Because it would have led to other stuff. Anyway.
But you would have had to work with Pee-wee.
That's right. Oh, Cherry!
Just don't go to the movies with him.
I liked his Big Adventure movie. That was kind of...
Well, the movies he makes are good. I'd rather see him on the screen than behind me in the theater.
And then when he appeared as Paul Rubin, Paul Rubin is
That's his name.
He appeared on Everybody Loves Raymond as a comic book vendor. I thought he did very well.
Yeah, he is a good actor. I mean, you could play Pee-wee. You could play anybody, really.
But anyway,
he was once in a serious movie I saw, Blow, with Johnny Depp as a drug dealer.
Oh my God!
And he played a drug dealer.
But
then he was Pee-wee.
Well, anyway, that's the story of that.
Yes. I always joke.
I got
who should play me in a movie? If they ever made a movie about my life. I think I should play myself. But the joke was. I say, well, Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio. But they said, no, I think Pee Wee Herman should play you. Actually, the most serious thing somebody once said, this was like 20 years ago, said that who should play me in a movie? And somebody pointed out either Dennis Hopper or Harry Dean Stanton. And I said, but those guys always play psychotics. They said, yeah. And your point is? That's their point.
Yes, we know that. Yes, this is true. True words. Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
But keep talking. We are here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to connect this.
Yeah.
I had to disconnect the fish to connect this, and da. It's technical stuff.
Yeah.
I hate all the technical things. I want to make my hand work separate from my other hand.
Yeah. You know, I do a few shows sort of with the same style, and you're the only one that actually works hard at trying to get it looking and sounding great. Most of the other ones is, just run the camera.
Well,
we'll turn it off at the end.
If I had a budget, my little bucktooth pal, it would be much better. We'd have more teeth. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I got an attic full of stuff left over from my career, and I just decided to use the stuff. Yeah. Very surreal.
Yes.
It is.
And I have something else of you.
I was going to say, we got something.
You're going to love this. No.
Oh, that. Oh, yeah, we can.
Yeah. This is very
exciting.
Well, no.
Okay,
don't give that away.
No.
That's only.
We got to lead up to.
That's only when things go bad.
Very big surprise.
You don't say.
We got a very big and a very wide surprise.
You don't say. Here's the. Wow. What is that? What is that? You could charge a battery with that.
Let's take. Let people guess, and we'll give away a prize as to what.
I saw that in Pulp Fiction. It's all radioactive inside.
Yeah, there was this movie. You remember that movie made in the 50s?
Yes.
That thing with a radioactive.
Yes. They never said what it was. It was called "Kiss Me Deadly."
Yeah.
And it has Ralph Meeker as Mike Hammer. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a weird
and it just ends with just the thing melting down, and they all run away from it. I got the idea that a chain reaction happened.
The house melted.
Yeah, the house melted.
The big house melted.
The end.
It starts out as a film noir movie, and I take that and hold it. And this.
Oh wow!
Is
I didn't even pay attention to what you have there. Too busy talking about mine.
This is a movie camera.
What? That is a movie. That's like something Max Sennett would use.
Yeah, it's got little cranks on it, and okay, Ollie, we're gonna do a take. Now, Stanley, don't mess up the film again. And it does crank. You know, you wind it up like this, and then put it away. Oh yeah.
I don't know what you're doing, Ollie.
I don't know.
I think it just makes me exhausted looking at it.
Where's the button? Where happened to the button?
Are we gonna make a film now?
There was a button. Oh, I'm upside down.
Not a film noir, but a film.
Oh,
it is. Wow. It even sounds like a camera, a movie camera.
It's going.
Yeah. Don't tell me you have film in there since 1918 or something.
No, but
might expose the flu epidemic from 1918. That'd be terrible if that happened now.
See if you can see the inside.
Oh, look at the guts. A lot of guts in this show.
Guts in the show. We have guts in our show.
Our show.
Yes, like Mr. Casper Gutman, we have guts in our show. You know, I thought they would have a great sequel to the Maltese Falcon we talked about last week.
Oh, yeah.
They should have had another sequel because, you know, they go off to Istanbul, he and Casper. He and Joe, they go chasing after the real Maltese Falcon. They're going off to Istanbul. And I think they could have made a sequel about that, and maybe somehow Sam Spade would get tied up in it too and had to go with them.
Yeah.
And they got out of jail or whatever, and they'd be chasing all these Russians and characters. Yeah. And I got a perfect title for it. Give me the bird.
Give me the bird.
We want you to give me the bird. So anyway, this is an old 16 millimeter movie camera.
Wow.
With a zoom lens
Now
on it.
now I know where to get if I want to make a 16 millimeter movie. Just all I have to do
You
is
can't get film for it anymore.
don't they make 16 millimeter?
They might up in Rochester, New York, the old Kodak place for people that want to do special things.
Wes Anderson.
Wes
who
Anderson
still makes 16 millimeter movies. He doesn't use video.
It smells great.
Yeah.
But it's expensive to do. You need money to get it
Yeah.
done at the lab and do all the other things you have to do. But it's a great old thing, and I love it. I bought this in England. When I went to England with my mom and dad, my dad and I were roaming around London and went to this Leeds camera shop. God, I can't talk. Leeds camera shop. And it was not too far from the British Museum.
Yes.
And
I photographed the Rosetta Stone there.
we stayed in the Russell, the old Russell Hotel, which was a great Victorian thing, and we're Russells ourselves. My dad's first name was Russell, and our family, one of our family names was Russell.
Did they give you a discount?
We tried. We tried, but I got a pretty good price on this thing.
Oh, okay.
And
Very
I used it when I
awesome.
went to film school. I used this
Oh, you make movies with that camera.
at VCU. They were, rather than use the old Bell and Howells. See, this is a Bolex. The Bolex was the best 16 millimeter camera made at that time.
Yeah.
Later on, they came out with Arriflexes and stuff, but
Yeah.
Bolex is a very technically accurate. The sprockets and everything.
Is it single lens reflex?
They were greatly. No, you can't do that in a movie camera.
No, it doesn't work. Oh, I didn't know that.
That's only in.
On still camera.
See the thing. Well, maybe they make some, but the thing I'll tell you about that. See if you can put it in the case.
Wow. Now that I know what it is, I'm kind of scared.
That's interesting. The question you asked about single lens reflex. I got some of those here, but a single lens reflex, as some of you may know, had a mirror, had the shutter, and then a mirror that would flip up so that you could see through the viewfinder and right through the lens itself. But when you hit the shutter, that mirror would go clack up. You remember it would go clack up? And that was because the mirror would flip down so that it would go to the film. It would go to
Did I
film.
get it right?
No.
Of course not. The other way.
Turn it the other way.
Yeah.
It'll fit. I cut that thing myself.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I made that thing myself.
Oh, and then you do that.
Okay.
So I can see all this, the audience can.
That's good enough.
There you go.
What is it? Oh, that's yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, that's something.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
And then a single lens reflex with you know, they do make the equivalent of a single lens reflex for movies, or they did.
Yeah.
I think the Arriflex, or one of them, had a deal where you could look right through the lens. You see, the whole beauty or the desire of having a single lens reflex is to look through the lens.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to use a viewfinder, which is off to the side.
Yeah.
Has to be calibrated. But
Well,
all this, yeah.
When I was a kid, cameras, didn't have single lens reflex, and thus you see all these big fingers in the lens. Come on, don't you know how to take a picture? What's the matter with you? I know you gave birth to all of us, but you never learned how to take a picture, did you?
And now we have smartphones, and everybody can do anything.
Yeah.
But their thumb is still in the
Yeah, they still. Some things never change. Now
they do it vertical instead of horizontal, which
Yeah.
is the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the way I see it is that if it's one person, it's vertical, and it's two people, then it's landscape or horizontal.
And the chimes are ringing in the old department store. Ladies lingerie, ladies lingerie. Ooh.
Only like the toy department.
Kind of outsmarted you, eh, little chum? It's the Great Gildersleeve.
Oh.
The Great Gildersleeve.
That's
Yeah.
right. George Gildersleeve. Hal Peary was his name.
Yeah, he was funny.
Yeah, funny man. He was on a lot of shows. A lot of these radio people you saw
And he was on
sitcoms.
Bugs. It was on a Bugs Bunny cartoon too.
Yeah.
Well, Mel Blanc.
You would see Frank Nelson. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the guy with Jack Benny.
Yeah.
And then
Hugh Herbert. You would see. Ooh.
And then you'd see the Mr. Mooney on the.
Oh
Lucy
yeah,
show.
he was on.
Mrs. Carmichael.
Gail Gordon was on Fibber McGee and Molly, I think.
I grew up thinking that in order to be a salesman in a department store, you had to talk like that.
I lived my life.
And they all talk like that.
and then there was all these. The Doodles Weaver used to see a lot on sitcoms.
Yeah. He
who was Sigourney Weaver's uncle,
and he also did these great Spike Jones albums.
Spike Jones, yeah.
Once I was happy, a sap I was oncey, but now I'm forlorn. A cow is forlorn. He's a young fellow about my age, and he did the man on the flying trapeze. And he's great, and but he would do these kind of wasted character roles on TV. You would see him sometime or show up in a movie, and he'd just be going. They wouldn't let him do anything really funny. He was on Leave It to Beaver.
Yes.
One time as a painter or a ne'er-do-well fix-it man. There's always those fix-it men had a trouble with a bottle. Or something. Now, Beaver, we don't talk about Mr. Hurley's problem. He has a problem. Gee, Wally, what's his problem? Beef, you're not supposed to talk about that, Beef. But Wally, I want to know about the problem.
That was some show.
That was a good show. It was very realistic. People make jokes about it, but my life growing up here was like a combination of Leave It to Beaver and Andy Griffith. Because we're kind of southern. Yeah, and my dad was kind of a bit of a southern kind of raconteur, and it was cool.
My life when I was a kid, my life was just like laughing.
Yeah,
just jokes. And people, telling it to stop and take a joke. Yeah. And I didn't realize.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that when I was a kid that laughing was, the counterculture and everything, but it was a sort of a mainstream or
it was
conservative Republicans idea.
Yeah, it was authoritative. Authoritative. In fact, they had Nixon on there.
Nixon was on there, and
Suck it to me.
That's right.
Suck it to him, suck it to him, suck it to him, suck it to him. They always got to understand. They used to say, "Suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me."
Yeah.
And they would cut to different celebrities. Like there was Sheldon Leonard one time. They were going, "Suck it to me, suck it to him, suck it to him," and they cut to Sheldon Leonard, and he'd go, "Suck it to him, suck it to him." And one time they're going, "Suck it to him, suck it." Cut to Richard Nixon, and he goes, "Suck it to me."
Yeah.
And later they did.
And he won a narrow election. They think that he showed how cool he was by appearing on Laughing. When actually,
I don't know. I still like Nixon.
The lead.
He had an opera. The
lead head writer of Laughing was like one of his speech writers, Paul Keyes. That's how that was the Nixon.
Can you get me some of that hip humor into my speeches? I want to knock them dead while I'm talking about the gross national product. Knock them dead.
Nixon, the guy who created one of the starters of Fox News, Roger Ailes, he actually got Nixon in 1968 or 67 how to get him back from the doldrums into becoming getting the Republican nomination, then eventually winning again. So that's where Roger Ailes got started.
Behind the scenes in politics, it is a business of strange bedfellows. Yeah. Put that thing up a little higher,
okay,
and we can talk about the other thing.
Yes. But Laughing I thought it was a great show.
It was.
And I loved the Smuggler's Brothers show.
Thing of it is, it came out of the blue. Who ever heard of Rowan and Martin before that?
No, they were around.
You
might see them on Ed Sullivan show.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, they were in nightclubs.
Yeah.
But they got a break, and thank God for that. In fact, I was trying to post their movie, The Maltese Bippy.
Yes.
But
I have it on CD.
Well, it's hard to get online right now. It's got cachet. You can only get clips of it. But that's a movie they made. Was it good?
Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right. Yeah.
I mean, it was a spoof of monster movies.
Yeah, I thought it was a murder too.
Well, yeah, mysteries.
Yeah.
If I remember it right.
Yeah, I saw about a 3-minute clip just yesterday.
About 20 years ago, there were all the because I'm a real film buff. And I was trying to. Is
that how you clean your suits? You got to film when you buff it. You know?
Why I watch films in the buff, I'll never know. But anyway, so what happened was...
With Warren Buffett.
Hey, he's a good guy to hang around with, Warren Buffett. By the way, speaking of Warren Buffett, I used to date one of his girlfriends, and he gave up on her because she cost him too much. Well, anyway,
talk about high maintenance. This is high maintenance.
So what happened was, I
want to see if this effect really works. What happens when you hold a mirror up to the internet?
Wow, look at that. It
right.
goes on for infinity.
Yes, you go into the other dimension.
That's the romper room.
Romper. No,
I see
Mr.
Billy
Rogers
and Johnny.
Mr.
And
Rogers.
Susie.
Yes.
They never said Kevin.
Yeah.
I've watched every show.
I like Mr. Rogers because he had nice sweaters. See, do you like my sweater?
Me? I was a Captain Kangaroo man. I had no funny business. I like Captain Kangaroo. He was a Marine, He was captain. And he had that bunny rabbit. Where's my bunny rabbit? There's the bunny rabbit.
I'll get you. Let me tell you. I'm picking him by his... Can't reach that far. There's Buddy Rabbit. And you'd be the next Captain Kangaroo.
Yes. And Lumpy Branham...
Yeah.
Mr. Green Jeans, the son of Frank Zappa. No, it goes the other way around.
He was something you know where that came from?
He was an arranger-composer for Fred Waring and his Pennsylvanians back in the 40s. Yes. He was actually a very musical guy.
Got the Pennsylvanians right here.
Oh, yeah. I didn't mean that as a cue, but yes.
Tell us about your book you wrote.
Well, I didn't write it. I designed it. One of the strange corners of my career, done on a Mac in the very early days of Macdom on what they used to call parking meter Macs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that. It's a book and a tape. It's about the recording.
Where's the tape?
It's a recording.
I don't believe it's a tape.
The story of the recording industry in Philadelphia, which actually had quite an early.
It's like a booklet.
Yeah.
And then the tape.
Philadelphia was one of the early centers of recorded sound. And a friend of mine, Charles...
Now, where are you going to get to play this?
Yeah. A friend of mine, Charles Hardy, is a professor up at Temple University. And he was a real cool class to take. You go into his class and listen to old 78 records and cylinders.
Oh, I would love
He's
that.
a professor of studying that early stuff.
Yeah.
And he was one of the first ones. He created it. Now there's a lot of those people around, but when he did it, nobody else was doing it.
The guy did the
and then he put together this book and this series of tapes, and you could get them in the library. And there's Bessie Smith. Can you see Bessie Smith?
Yeah. She from Philadelphia?
Well, evidently, or did something there.
Popular from there.
Ethel Waters, the old records.
Oh, wow.
And there's W.C. Fields.
W.C. Fields.
And there's Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald. Oh, yes. Here we go.
Ain't a fitting that up for man bees. You know, I'd rather be in Philadelphia.
There's Frankie Richardson. We all remember Frankie Richardson. And
what did Frankie
it's
do?
called Philadelphia All the Time. And it shows a Quaker down there over an old radio set. But there's actually a really cool song in there. When Yankee Doodle went to town, he came to Philadelphia, Philadelphia all the time. When we go to, hats off to dear old Philly, and it's Philadelphia all the time. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. And there's John Philip Sousa in here, and Hot Jazz.
John, who actually wrote the theme to this show.
Yes.
John Philip Sousa.
Oh, here it is. Fred Waring.
Yes.
And his top hatters. No.
His Pennsylvanians.
I thought it was. Well, anyway, it looked like kind of like that. He's leaning on a DC-3 airplane, like they all did back then. All those big band leaders were giant, and they leaned on their DC-3.
Yeah.
Which they flew to the next gig.
Yeah. You know, Bing Crosby got to start with Fred Waring.
I think you're right.
Yes.
Fred Waring. When the blue of the sky meets the cool of the day. They got kind of weird weather patterns, yes. And I was going to play that theme.
But I used to,
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to, so like 20 years ago, I just tried to find every movie I could find and just got all these videotapes from eBay, and to the point where I got them, hey, the Maltese Bippy. These rare movies.
Need an ocarina.
I got the Manchurian Candidate, and then maybe 2 years later,
that's
it was
a lot.
but it was re-released. It was
That's a
re-released
wild
as
movie.
it was released
You know, I think
after
people,
that.
I think
after
people,
30 years.
I think
or
that
so.
actually inspired some weird terrorism. It just seemed to be prophetic.
It is prophetic, yeah.
I think
We
it was
never
before
know.
the Kennedy assassination. Wasn't
It was made. It was written.
Didn't
Or
it
the
come out-
movie was made in 1962, and then in 1963 the movie came out, and around the time he got assassinated, and it was almost like buried, and then but they knew they had a good movie, so 30 years later it was re-released, like the 1990s of it.
Yeah.
I think Sinatra owned the rights to it. He was still alive then, so he released it. Yeah. Lawrence Harvey, it's great.
Frank Sinatra, a lot of those guys like Bing Crosby got big in the record industry. Like Bing owned a lot of
MCA, yeah. No,
Yeah,
Decca Records,
and
yeah.
he produced a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And
It was his agency wound up buying Decca Records, MCA.
Something
Lou
like that.
Wasserman, yeah. And then also, and then of course Sinatra had Reprise Records and signed all those people for them. Dean and Sammy Davis, they all wound up recording for
everybody loves my body sometime.
everybody. He's a love Dean.
That's not ocarina. Well, that's an oboe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an oboe. I don't
A
know.
hobo? I saw one downtown. Hey,
That's our theme.
sounds like a merry-go-round.
Yeah. I normally play it on ocarina, and that sounds like a calliope.
Yeah,
If you press the calliope button,
Yeah.
it sounds like an ocarina.
yeah. Calliope was one of those words I had a hard time saying when I was a kid.
I called it a calliope.
Yeah, calliope.
And I
That's
say-
one thing. Yeah.
Oh, it's summertime, Mama. We're going to have some good calliope after lunch.
Another word I had a hard
Yes,
time
dear, I have your calliope.
was
She would nurse my fantasies. And
hospital was a hard word to say when I was a kid.
hôpital? In
Hospital.
French, it's hôpital.
Hospital.
And when you're in England, you don't go to the hospital. You're in the hospital.
You're in the hospital.
The
Yes.
hospitala. Hospital.
And then another word I had. Okay, another hard word I had as a kid was aluminum.
Aluminium. Aluminium.
Aluminium is. I was going to ask you, what do
Aluminium.
they say it in England? And that's how they say it.
Aluminium.
I actually,
Aluminum.
after living there and around there for so long, I call it aluminium. And I always
Did you
get
live
it-
there that long?
I lived there for 3 years. I
Oh,
lived
that's pretty
in
good.
Ireland, but they have the
Uh,
same pronunciation.
Come to Ireland. Did you go visit over in England while you were in Ireland?
No, not until the end, because I all my relatives were living in Ireland, but then they all moved to England after I left. So then I got to visit them there. Yeah. I'd rather go to England.
Did you know the Isle of Man is almost its own government? And
That's
they have their
right.
own taxes. It's
Yes.
it's a dependency
Yeah.
on Great Britain. In other words, they don't really control it, but they
Yeah.
have a deal where they have to protect the Isle of Man. They have to
Yeah.
send their ship if somebody wants to attack.
It's
It's
tourism.
It's a really neat little place.
Yeah. They have a
They have a little choo-choo train.
was it I
little
think,
teeny choo-choo train.
you know, the Isle of Man. The only thing I really know about the Isle of Man is that when I was there in the 1980s, they
Did you go there?
no. I mean, when I was in that area, but it was off the coast. You had to take it was kind of hard to get to, even though it was you had to take a private boat or something to get to it. That's how they keep the riffraff out, like me. They had on the books that if you caught doing anything wrong, you could be flogged. In other words, they don't put you in jail because they didn't have any penitentiary system. So they would actually whip you and
they do have car theft, but you can't take a car anywhere. The only crime they have is some guy goes to the pub and he gets a little drunk, and he takes somebody's car and he drives it about 5 miles and then abandons it.
yeah.
But you can't take it anywhere here on this island.
Yeah.
They don't worry about it.
And I didn't really pay too much attention.
Not very much crime there.
Because of nobody wants violent, a simple
what are you
crime
going to do?
Violent.
They'll catch you at the beach.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, they'll catch you at the beach.
You can't swim back to England or Ireland. So what happened was then there was that kid in Singapore was flogged. Remember that with the no, in Singapore. And I said, wow, you mean people there are still governments that do junk like that to the tourists.
Well, that might be preferable than to getting 20 years for smoking marijuana. I might want to put up with a few scars, because some of the stuff that's on our books, some guy takes a reefer, man, and it's like, lock you away.
Well, that is why, that is why something like marijuana should be legal everywhere.
And I did a T-shirt about that. Not that I smoke it. I did smoke it a brief time back in the 80s, and some girls wanted to get me high. Oh, we'd love to get you high. Hell yeah. And there was 2 girls and a big couch, and I smoked, hey, take a toke. And I fell asleep on the couch. I was very sensitive to this stuff. Then they pass it around in the animation studio, so you want to be part of the crowd. Yeah. And that stuff was not powerful at all.
No.
It was nothing compared to taking a shot of whiskey. Nothing.
No hangover.
Well, it was whiskey
off.
Makes you drunk, and this just made you a little bit sleepy. But now they got really bad marijuana out there, and I'm convinced a lot of these crimes, like the Michael Brown thing. I think Michael Brown was high on the TCP of that day because he was just a good kid who wanted to go to college and do technical stuff. But that friend of his, Johnson, they got video of him robbing cigars in the store beforehand, and then he walked right up to the cop and stuck his hand in the who in their right mind would even walk up into a cop's car and start grabbing his gun and all that stuff? He was on something. He was acting like a zombie, and that's what happened.
Never take an attitude with a cop.
Yeah, but
they're the ones with the guns.
They covered that up. They showed it briefly in the news, and then it was kind of covered up.
But so I think So let me tell you about marijuana. I don't want to talk a whole lot about my experiences with it, but I do remember in recent years, I don't take any drugs or anything.
It's really beneficial to some people
with glaucoma
and the old marijuana, which was very mild. It just depends on how it's made and what they add to it.
So this girl was I was at a party. And this girl says, you ought to be cool. Maybe you might get somewhere with me if you smoke the marijuana.
Yeah.
Of course, so I grabbed the marijuana and I went, and then, oh, this is great, and I gave it back to her.
Not counting the stuff we're on now.
And what she said? She goes, "You didn't inhale." And I said, "Yes, I did. I did inhale. What are you talking about?"
And now he talks like Bill Clinton.
And guess what? It didn't happen.
It makes you bite
That's
your
the
bottom.
life of my.
It makes you bite your bottom lip.
Story of my life.
I'm gonna run for President Hillary.
Smoke pot and you can spend the night with
me.
I want to. Nothing good happened.
This guy threw some good parties, but there were a lot of wild parties around. I went to one really wild hippy dippy party in an old Victorian house. Yeah. Some hippies take over a big old Victorian house.
Oh yeah, those are the best.
Yeah. But there was a strange girl there. She didn't try to get me to smoke, but she claimed she could levitate. But you had to turn out the lights to watch her do it. She said, "I can do this. I can do that." And she was cute, but she was like, but she also talked. She gave me some funny information about the York River. Nothing to do with the fish, but this was about aliens having a base.
Yeah.
Underwater in the York River. And you could, I don't know, but anyway, these flying saucers were seen to come out. That's a deep river down there, and they come out and go off.
So
and go underwater and you see the lights and all this.
It's an airport for it. Or an aquaport for it.
And when you're sitting there and the music, you know, what's that move? Mama told me not to come. Mama, that's not the way to have fun, son. Mama told me, Mama. And the girl's telling you, yeah, they're flying saucers in the James River. And I can levitate. I've been trying to levitate ever since, and I've fallen on my butt and broken more bones.
You try when you're a kid. You try to do crazy stuff like jump off the roof to fly with a cape and like Superman. I know kids. I've heard of kids getting bit by spiders, thinking they're going to turn into Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but that makes no sense at all. So just last week I tried gamma rays to turn into the Incredible Hulk, but that didn't work either.
You can buy them. You can buy them on a little kid at the drugstore. You know, they're really nice. You know.
But anyway, the reason why I'm not married is because girls like with these flying saucers and the levitation.
People don't really care, Kevin.
Yeah, no, no. The reason why was when I was a teenager, and this girl was having fun with me. I mean, teasing me. She goes, "Open your mouth and close your eyes, and I'll give you a great surprise." And I thought, "Oh wow, she's gonna kiss me or something." She put her damn cigarette ash in my mouth, and I said, "Ah!" I didn't talk to that woman ever again. Girl, what girl? She was like 16 years old. I was 13.
You put what in your mouth? Oh,
cigarette ash. Just like use my mouth as an ashtray. Isn't that the most humiliating thing in the world?
People, there's no dearth of stupidity among people. In fact, if we could market the stuff, we'd be so rich.
We still taste it.
People just want to try everything.
30 years later.
I knew a girl. She's not a girl anymore. She was a girlfriend and a friend and everything. She said she used to eat mud.
I knew a kid who did that.
Down on the Mississippi River.
And
on the beach, treat to beat your feet on the Mississippi mud, and then put it in your mouth. Use the salt and pepper, and it comes out south. We're way down south, and we don't have anything else to do. I am telling you, you gotta put that mud in your mouth when the beat the feet on the Mississippi mud.
All right. Yeah. I used to love that song when I was a kid.
Good, yeah.
And I like your lyrics better.
Bing Crosby did a great. Son, I'm telling you. Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, I think it's a minstrel song.
Well, Bing did one of the first multiracial. He was singing with some black guys like the. Who was that famous quartet?
The Mills Brothers.
Or somebody like them.
Yeah.
And Bing sang, well, it's a great record.
Well, you know another song I used to like as a kid? I love that song. I still like that song, actually. It's a good song.
Yeah.
It's a lot of these songs that are like from the minstrel shows, like Are You From Dixie?
Yes, I'm from Dixie. Dun 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 dun.
Glad to see you. The door with you.
I know.
Are you from Alabama, Tennessee?
I like that one by Phil Harris about, a little place called Do-I-Diddy. It ain't no town, it ain't no city. It's mighty small, but it's mighty pretty. That's Do-I-Diddy. And that's what I like about the South.
Oh, he was... Phil Harris is great. I have a CD.
Hey, Jackson. He used to be...
Jack Benny.
Solid Jackson. That comes from him talking to Jack Benny. Solid Jackson.
I figured out his appeal was that he was a white guy who sounded like a black guy. Meaning that he was like Eminem. No. He was the Eminem of his time.
All those people talk. It's just cool talking in New Orleans. Speaking of that,
he had a song called that was called.
I used to run into Pete Fountain at the grocery store when I worked in New Orleans. Yeah. And he was real cool. He had his head shaved that time, but he had a goatee. He was in buying his frozen food or whatever. He brought some good stuff. But he, and I played clarinet. I was really into Pete Fountain. But they say he only played in one key, but I don't know. Anyway, I was working at Fox Animation with Greg Fox, the mouth of the Mississippi, they called him. But anyway, he's a cool guy. and we made animated cartoons, and I made a cartoon about a thing that was in the Mardi Gras parade, and my ex-wife was in the float with Lionel Hampton in the Mardi Gras parade. And
your ex-wife and Lionel Hampton.
well, she
were in
was
the
an
same-
honor guard. She was in the reserves, and she was an honor guard, and she got me Lionel Hampton's autograph.
Oh wow!
I got a picture of her.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I lose autographs though. Anyway, but Pete Fountain was at the store there, and I'm talking to him because we were doing commercials. Most of the time in animation, the only thing you have money for is commercials, you know, and I was doing commercials. But I wanted to get our studio into doing music videos.
Mm-hmm.
This was before music videos were invented. Well, Walt Disney invented them, but I mean, before they were popular again. And I wanted to do some jazz animation.
Yeah.
We'd get Pete to do the music, and he was up for it.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
talked him
wow.
into it. But the boss said, no, we can't do that. You know,
Was it too expensive?
It's not commercial. You can't make a profit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
remember
think it would, if you had marketed it right, it could have been great.
that Disney Bumble Boogie is good.
Now,
Yeah.
that's one of the few times that they got to do that in entertainment animation, and Walt did it. Walt was always trying to get, and that doesn't sell but so well, but I mean, he did it as part of a package film
Yeah.
called Make Mine Music.
That's right.
And the great Mickey specialist animator, the guy that kind of invented modern 30s style loose as a goose animation,
Yeah.
Fred Moore.
Yeah.
And he drew really good, great girls, too. He's well known for animating really sexy girls. He animated that and was the directing animator at that. And Bumble Boogie and All the Cats Join In.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, those two. And there might have been another one.
Yeah. Ethel
Um,
Smith did one on the organ, I remember.
Ethel Smith?
Yeah. The
There was-
famous organist of the day. Once married to Ralph Bellamy.
Yeah, but for Disney?
Yeah.
I think you're talking about Saludos Amigos. It was a Hispanic lady that for the
Three Caballeros.
Three Caballeros and Saludos Amigos. It was two of those over across the border to the neighbors to the south that he did as great movies. But there's this
I can watch those all day.
there's this Mexican, or she's from Argentina somewhere. She played really great.
Yeah.
And then there's Donald Duck
Yeah.
bouncing around and the pipes going up and down. That was really cool. And they did some groundbreaking special effects.
Yeah.
that Ub Iwerks engineered.
Yeah.
Where they would do traveling mats and
Yeah.
put the realistic organ and the lady on this level, and animated things coming out of the organ on that level, and then Donald and the parrot and the other guy
Yeah.
on another level, and all these weird things happening with realism mixed. It was very surreal.
They were made during World War II as part of our good neighbor policy with Mexico.
And they got Walt out of the office because they were having union problems.
Yeah.
They were doing Dumbo, and then the union started. Walt didn't like the union. He couldn't understand it. He thought he was a father figure, and he thought,
Why would anyone?
we've built this wonderful studio. What are they doing to me?
Yeah. He was
And-
sitting on this throne, and he was looking down
Well, I
at
can't-
all the people working on it. And goes, "Can't you see things from my point of view?"
Well, he didn't understand. He didn't understand. I could have been the same way because he didn't understand business at all, and the union throws a big
Yeah.
monkey wrench into allowing you to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, what they got Walt, Roy, his brother Roy, was the practical one and ran the money part of it. And Walt couldn't have done it without Roy,
Yeah.
and vice versa. Roy was the financial genius, and Walt would say, "Why don't I have money to make Saludos Amigos? Where's the money, Roy?" And Roy would work around him. Okay, go slam your door, and I'll fix it. I mean, he worked with the Bank of America and all that. But that was a big time
Yeah.
in the history of Disney, and they worked it out.
Yeah.
But the first thing they said when I went into Disney trying to get a job, and I met a guy named Donald Duckwall. Donald Duckwall, he was the guy that interviewed you. He was a
Is that
functionary.
his real name?
Yeah. He was a producer, functionary guy that hired.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said right out of the bat, "We get along good with the unions." That's
Yeah.
what he said when you would go into the office. He started talking to him. "We get along great with the
Yeah.
unions."
He goes, "Are you wearing a wire?"
And I'm from Virginia, where they hardly had unions, and
Yeah.
still don't. But
Yeah.
and my
We
dad.
we tried to kick the union out of it.
Well,
in
I'm
the
for,
Civil War.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. No, I'm for unions, especially when they're run right and they're good and they get people some money and their pension. Now the Jimmy Hoffa stuff is a little different. But,
Well, my view is that if the workers were treated well all the time, you wouldn't need unions, and that's why you have unions.
but when you're an artist, whether it's one guy doing a painting or a guy directing a movie, you have to be kind of an autocrat. You have to be a bit of a dictator.
Mm-hmm.
You may have two guys together that can direct a movie. They get along great. But you get about three, and it becomes like a committee. It becomes like a committee, and the movie suffers. And you got to be able to call your shots, because half of being an artist is being a good critic. You say, no, that's lousy. No, that's not right. No, that's bad. Okay, that's just right.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing the whole time.
It's a consensus of the three. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the Three Stooges are always fighting, because they three people cannot decide on anything right.
That's why I always tell people, you're affable, but you're not accurate. I mean, I'm trying to teach them some technical stuff, and I'm not very good at it. But part of art is getting just the right pose. Okay, that works, and everything else does. I mean, imagine Leonardo da Vinci when he was doing The Last Supper, right? And he did Christ, and Christ is like this.
That's right.
He's like that. If he's doing this, not good. Good. Christ bad.
Oh.
Good Christ. Bad. You gotta make a choice.
They're all sitting on the same side of the table.
Yeah.
And Judas is
Yeah, but the posing of that is so wonderful. It's like a wonderful bunch of action that gets frozen.
Yeah.
And everything's in just the right place. In fact, there's a movie. I don't think it's a Fellini movie. It's
Viridiana.
No,
Made by Luis Bunuel.
Is it? I thought it was La Strada.
It's a Spanish film.
No, it's Italian.
Okay, what happens in this movie?
All right. You've seen it too, but anyway, these vagabonds are traveling on the road. There's always some vagabonds.
Yeah.
And they go into this villa.
Yeah.
They somehow crash this villa, and there's nobody in there, and they're all drinking the wine and having a good time, and they sit at this big table.
Yes. Oh, it is Viridiana. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I
by
love that.
Luis Buñuel,
And then suddenly they're all these on this big long table, and suddenly they freeze, and it looks just like The Last Supper, except there's a bunch of bums.
They pose for a photo. And you just think they're just going to put, and they all pose like that. It's just all like a split second. They're all like this.
It's one of the best jokes I've ever seen.
We'll put that in the. I'm sure the clip is all over YouTube. I'll put it.
Yeah,
in
I like to
comments
post the whole movie. Maybe.
Yeah. Viridiana. Viridiana was a film.
I took this in film class.
I tell you what happened.
I took it in film class. I can't remember.
Luis Buñuel was in exile from Spain.
Bunuel.
And what happened was he was living in America, and he made a lot of films in Mexico. And then he was invited. He was invited by Franco in 1960.
The Street Charm of the Bourgeoisie.
Well, that was late. That was like one of his last films in France. Yeah. So what happened was Viridiana. Yeah, and Viridiana was a movie about a peasant girl, and she gets involved with her uncle, who's just this deviant, and he's played by Fernando Rey. If you remember in the French Connection, he plays the head guy in the French Connection. Okay, he's in a lot of Buñuel. He's in a lot of American films
I know
too.
His face.
So you'd know him immediately. So anyway, but then there's just this movie was just decadent. The Franco regime thought, we invite this great artist back to Spain after he defected to make this movie. And this is the movie he made with that blasphemy of The Last Supper.
That was the main thing I remember. It was pretty. It's a little hard to translate. I don't think it has a dubbing, or it may have subtitles.
Oh, it had subtitles.
Viridiana.
Well, yeah.
What does that mean? Something about life?
I think it's the girl's name. It was the girl's name. But it might be.
See if you can find it
in Spanish.
Email it to me.
Now, La Strada is a great film too. That is Anthony Quinn.
Yeah, the road.
Yeah, La Strada became.
Is that Fellini?
Movie.
Is that Fellini?
Yeah, that is Fellini.
Yeah, I love Fellini.
And Fellini made a film called The Knights of Cabiria, which became the musical Sweet Charity in America, with Shirley MacLaine.
The Knights of Cabiria. There was an early feature film made in the 19 teens in Italy called Cabria.
Calabria, yeah.
And it's before Birth of a Nation, but it has huge sets and great big things happening in elephants and all.
Yeah.
But the camera doesn't move hardly.
No.
But it's pretty impressive from a historic standpoint.
Yeah.
It's called Cabria. And that was one of the early big feature films.
You know, all those really old movies, like what you say, Cabiria, and also Cabinet, Dr. Caligari, and even the George Melee stuff. One camera, and they all act in front of it. That's basically was how they made movies.
Well, the reason for that is the proscenium arch. You know what the proscenium arch is? That's when you go to the theater, and there's this arch, and everything takes place inside the arch. Yeah. And that's what everybody was used to seeing. Yeah. They may have seen some still photographs of close-ups, but the concept of watching all that and then suddenly cutting to a close-up was a big shock.
Was a big deal.
And one of the first times they ever did it was Edwin S. Porter in the Great Train Robbery,
1903.
And he did it, and they cut to the. They had. They also had parallel action, which is mainly, it starts with the old concept of meanwhile back at the ranch, while they're at the bank stealing the stuff out of the safe. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, somebody is getting suspicious. And you cut to the guy at the ranch. Aha! They're at the bank. We better catch the train. Aha! And then you cut to the train coming, and we got to catch the train, or they're going to steal the train. And they would cut and go to the parallel cutting, which is one of the great concepts of film. And then there's close-ups, and they had the guy turn to the camera and shoot at the camera, and people were shocked. And Edwin S. Porter, the guy that created all that stuff, he didn't really know what he had done. He did it. It seemed right at the time, and then he didn't do it again.
Yeah. I don't know any other movies.
He did. Well, he made a whole series of those, but he didn't pick up on it. I mean, he went back to doing it the other way, pretty much. But
dismal failure.
He had a career.
G.W. Griffith.
Yeah, Ed Porter had a career for about 10 years, but Griffith picked up and started really building on all that. Well, he did a hell of a lot of films.
And all those Russian, like
and then
Eisenstein.
there's Potemkin.
All that editing.
Sergei Eisenstein. Now, that'll teach you some editing.
I know.
If you watch, and then it'll make you join the Communist Party, too. It is
They're all propaganda.
Slava!
They're all Stalin.
Pravda, we're on this boat, and the boat is coming to Odessa, and there's these steps on the Odessa steps, and there's some terrible capitalist or somebody they got to save, and the Russian sailors got to rise and revolt. Proletariats of the world. Yeah. Anyway, and then there's those steps, and a baby carriage starts going down the steps, and this lady with the glasses, and the soldiers are coming after them with the bayonets. Yeah. But they really construct the film piece by piece, like Hitchcock really developed. And even at one point, they're showing all this stuff. They cut to some stone lions. Yes. There's a couple of lions, and one is sitting down, and the other one is like that. Yeah. And they cut from one to the other and animates. It's like the lion gets up. And I tell you, I saw that thing without music at VCU in the business building. They used to have show movies in the business, and I walked walked in on that thing, and here was the ship with the turrets coming and the cannons, and then all these guys and the pistons going. No music at all, but it was the visual music. It just mesmerized me. Yeah. And he wrote a thesis. Eisenstein wrote a thick book about how he equated film to music, and how it's like a fugue that Bach would write, and he explained every little thing, every jot and tittle of how you do it. Boring as hell. I couldn't read that book, but I understood what he was talking about. All you got to do is look at the film. Don't read the book. But he did figure it all out.
He made a 4-hour film in America called E Viva Mexico, which was never finished.
I think they did.
Well, they had a lot of. There's a lot of it.
Yeah, they did make something out of it.
They probably did something.
They did make it. Is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. There's also that
Viva Mexico.
Yeah,
what is it?
Que Viva Mexico, and then there's a movie. 2 movies, Woody Allen's Bananas, and also the Untouchables. Tony, there's also Brian De Palma's The Untouchables, which is kind of a homage to that scene you're talking about with the baby carriage going down the side.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah,
they really do a great job in the Untouchables.
Those steps, those are big, long steps. It's amazing that somebody else didn't. Well, they filmed it. It was a natural to go filming there. You see those steps. Man, I got to do something with those steps.
All those,
and the ship.
All those silent films by those directors in Russia during the 1920s were all because of Stalin coming to power, and he actually said, "You're going to make nothing but propaganda films." Yeah, and that's all they made.
So Stalin did a few good things, other than murderizing. He murdered more people than Hitler did.
Oh, he was the worst.
But he was a strange guy. They say in a meeting, he would let everybody talk, and he'd be sitting there doodling, and then he'd say something, and he'd listen to this guy. Oh yeah, this guy. And then he'd say, "You're dead. All right, we'll go with this guy."
Yeah.
But that's the way I operate in the meeting. I'm sitting there doodle and then pass. So that made me feel weird. But not Hitler, but Stalin is only 5'5" tall.
That's right. That was right.
But he had a big mustache.
Stalin.
Does your like tobacco taste different?
He was there when Lenin came to power. He was like his second. There was two guys second, but the other one was Trotsky. And he pretty much, when Lenin died, it was him and Trotsky vying for power. Trotsky went to Mexico, or went all over, but he wound up in Mexico. And like 20 years later, Stalin sent an assassin to kill him in Mexico with an ice pick.
But wait a minute, I thought Michael Palin shot Trotsky.
Michael Palin? I mean,
the guy in the Monty Python. You don't remember that show? Where,
I don't remember that.
The cyclist.
Oh, he killed Trotsky.
He ends up with Trotsky. That's a great. If you ever see the cycling,
I gotta see that.
Cyclist or the cycling tour, it's the last Monty Python episode they ever did, I think. And they let Michael Palin have free reign, and there was just one continuous story where he's riding a bike. His name is Pither, and I'm taking a cycling tour of England. Oh, hello, my name's Pither. And he runs into everybody and all this, and then these weird beasts, these big giant beasts are looking at him over a hedge, and just they don't do the fish dance, but everything happens. He finally ends up in the middle of the communist revolution somehow, from one transition to the other, and then he ends up back in England. It's the craziest thing. I love it.
Well, Monty Python was great in the day. They also had.
But this is the craziest.
They had in fact, Trotsky for a short time was living in the Bronx, in the same area my dad was from. This is back in like the 19-teens, because a lot of those guys were in exile because of because of all the trouble they had with the czars.
Wow, we're on a similar note. Wow, do you know who ended up in New Jersey, living similar? In a similar sort of exile thing in New Jersey? No. You would never suspect. Napoleon Bonaparte's brother.
Oh yeah, wow.
Napoleon Bonaparte's brother ended up in New Jersey.
Skip Bonaparte.
Yeah, Skip Bonaparte.
Skip. All the guys in New Jersey named.
It sounds like you should have had a brother named Biff. You know? Biff, you want to be a salesman?
I did not know that. I didn't know that.
What was Biff's brother
in what?
In The Death of a Salesman. Biff,
Biff,
my boy. And VJ Cobb. You know Death
I know the show very well. Yeah. In fact, I remember there's one line where he goes, "You always wanted to go to college. You always wanted to go to the University of Virginia, didn't you?" And I thought, "Oh, they mentioned my school."
And the guy that wrote it married Marilyn.
Oh, that's Arthur Miller.
Arthur Miller. I had a picnic with his daughter.
That's right. In the Murder of Mary Phagan. Yes.
We all went and had.
She's now married to Daniel Day-Lewis. She could have married you.
She could have married me. Yeah.
All of this could have been hers. So you dated
Mrs. Phagan. What was her name?
She was Leo Frank's wife.
Pretty girl.
In real life wife.
I don't think she ever did much more acting.
I saw her in a movie recently, but she's a director, and Daniel Day-Lewis does all the acting.
She's a director?
She has directed movies.
Oh.
She's actually, believe it or not, she's a better director than she's an actress.
Yeah, she didn't impress me as an actress at all.
Well, that was her first movie.
She just all she had to do was kind of stand there.
Yeah,
But,
pretty woman. And
walking down the street, pretty woman. Oh,
but Danny Day-Lewis found something attractive in her that he married.
And
her.
who was that guy in Logan's Run?
Richard Jordan.
He was on the
He was the
picnic.
villain.
He and her and me were at the same blanket
Yeah. Oh, wow.
on the beach. Yeah.
Oh man.
It was
Okay.
organized by an extra with pull, and he had a boat, and said, "Come on, let's go on this big boat."
Well, was this part of the movie or was it Jordan?
No, it
Or
was
just part
just-
of fun.
I was on the side,
Oh, I'd say I never had any fun on a movie.
and
set like that.
well, it wasn't as much fun as you might think. The guy that ran the boat was his wife. She was like a nice lady, and she had this big, bodacious Southern guy. Hell, I'm gonna get drunk and do whatever. And he had a big boat. He had a big boat, and they wanted me to, because I was the cartoonist and I was showing my stuff. They wanted me to do this big banner, and they were hanging on the side of the boat. It was something to do with a rat or a mouse. I forget what. Big giant thing. I worked on it. No money. And
that's how they do it.
and then, but I got a seat at the blanket.
Yeah.
But
Are you in the movie?
we went. Oh,
I mean, this shot of you.
Yeah, I was in the movie. But
I got it because I have it on tape. I got to see you on it.
well, they took me out.
Oh, they cut you out.
Because
They cut that
I'd
scene
been
out.
working out. He said my chest was too big for emaciated people of the early 20th century.
You're too modern.
Yeah. Oh.
You gotta look like
Arnold got to be
you gotta
like
look-
Arnold in the 20th century. But anyway, the thing was, we went on that trip, and the guy had a big boat, and we all went down the James River. And I was trying to tell everybody how advanced we were in the South, and we're not like in the old South. We're very forward thinking. And right at that point, a motorboat went flying by with a giant stars and bars. and
that pretty much ended everything.
But anyway, we went on the boat, and a wind started blowing.
Yeah.
And the banner, the huge banner that I told her they got me to work on and paint this thing, it started flowing and blacking away. And I said, "Hey, we got to save the banner. We got to pull it down." And the guy that had commissioned me, the big bodacious beer drinking guy, he says, "Hell, let it fly. I don't care." And I'm sitting there. I did all this work. Those are those bodacious Southerners that you got to watch out for.
That guy should be ashamed of himself.
Yeah. I'm kin to a few of them, but they're not that bad.
You're
But when you try to be an artist and you try to do,
you're like the Marilyn of the Munster family. You're related to all these people. You said that.
all
you're
these
like
strange people.
You're like that. You're the only normal one.
I use my family for material. I do. Man, I got 2 or 3 volumes of short stories just backed up. I had a short story that came to me in a dream last night, and I got up and wrote it down.
Yeah,
and
that's how you do it.
Once in a while, some dreams, they just don't make sense. They're interesting, but the one was like hanging out with a guy that cut the grass along Route 6, and he was showing me all the places that he cut grass. That's not a story. But there was another story where I was at one party, and these things happened, and I went to another party, and I ran to and had these interactions. And that ended up being a pretty good story.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
I just wrote it down.
Yes.
And I'll go fix it later.
Let's make a movie. Now I gotta tell you, you mentioned like Captain Kangaroo and everything. You like Captain? Hello, boys and girls. I'm Captain Kangaroo. Let's go.
Bunny Rabbit. Hi, Bunny Rabbit. Hi.
It's the town clown.
It's the town.
It's Grandfather Clown.
We know the town clown. I think was him in makeup. I think.
So. You know, his real name was Bob Keyshawn.
That's right.
And he was on a talk show once.
And Tom Snyder interviewed him.
I think it was this. It was probably that episode where he actually says he was talking about his family life, and he told this little story.
Stop it, right? That's Raggedy Coon. He wants to be a musician.
He told this little story. You know, I guess he was of Irish descent, and he told this little story about his daughter he said, very funny. He told this story about his daughter named Maeve, and my sister's Maeve. Maeve is not a very common name, And I'm not kidding you. Our heads exploded when we
Mavis.
heard that Captain Kangaroo's daughter is named Maeve. And so
from Mavis, I guess.
no, just Maeve. It's an Irish name. It's from the original Gaelic Mab, I think. Queen
There's
Maeve.
a lot of weird names.
Yeah,
in
well,
Irish.
I mean, they think American names, Bill and Bob and Cookie.
Well, you
and
think
everything.
you've heard all the Irish names, and then they throw another one out.
So then, Maeve was my sister was so excited. Captain Kangaroo's daughter is named Maeve, and I said, "Big deal, Maeve Kangaroo."
Put it in the pouch. Put it in the pouch and put it away. Is your sister's name Maeve?
Yeah.
Is
All
that
my
the
members
one
of-
I met at the party that I was so attracted to, and she's gone away? She's
could have
been on the wagon.
but
or
no,
something?
no. I'm on the wagon. Let me tell you something. I'm on wagon train. I might as well be Ward Bond.
No.
Let me tell you, all the members of my family all have Irish Gaelic names, including my name is Kevin, because of my mother. And Eugene O'Neill named all of his kids with Gaelic names too,
Yeah.
including most famously Una, who married Charlie Chaplin.
That was Irish, Una?
Una means Winifred in
I
Irish.
thought that was
Gaelic.
French or something.
No, it's Irish. Eugene O'Neill was as Irish as they come.
She looks like Charlie. She put a mustache on.
Well, Una was like 30. I mean, what was she, 18, and he was like 57 or something when he married her, and he wound up being married to her for the next like 30 years.
And they had a big villa in Switzerland.
They had like a lot of kids, or like 5 kids, I think. And most famous being Geraldine Chaplin.
He stopped
And-
producing films and started producing.
He was like his 5th
Something.
wife, or so 4th or 5th wife, and it took him 4 or 5 wives to get it right. I guess when you're 57, you say, I don't know. I've had enough of the fun life. I'm going to settle down.
Well, show business makes it kind of difficult to have any kind of life.
People tell me all the
normal life anyway.
Yeah, people tell me all the time I should settle down. I said, "What? That sounds like hard work, settling down, having kids and all and everything."
But you do tend to dream about it a lot.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a harp.
I think you should play us out. I think we come to
I don't know.
Come to the
I was trying
end.
to find something suitable.
Harp sounds good.
Oh. The trouble is I can't read too well. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there we go.
For the old side of Ireland. You know, I'm 16% Irish,
There you
according
go.
to my DNA.
Very good.
I do like corned beef
Oh, that
and
was beautiful.
I love corned beef, yes.
Yeah.
A bit of the sound of the old side.
Yeah, but
The peat. The peat.
I love the glissandos. Your harp.
Time for us to go yet? Or? Have faith and be God.
That is the greatest moment of all the shows we've done. I think that is the greatest moment I've had on here. And
But I couldn't reach the keyboard.
But you did great, and that and
Put it low.
you are that is the greatest harp playing since Harpo.
Thank you. Almost. He's the man.
But you did that was absolutely beautiful, Keith. And I guess it's time to go. So
yeah, it is time to go.
So thank you for the one of
my God, it's
inviting me into your
10
home.
o'clock. Oh.
Well, we're doing great.
Okay, so everything is
I'm
here.
Kaye Lazar. This is the wonderful Keith Van Allen.
The bunny rabbit, the giant rabbit. You got to watch out. He's half sheepdog.
Yes.
Don't trip over him.
And tell all your friends how much you love this show. Perfect. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye. Where do we press the button?
Okay.
Well, that came out halfway decent. I do play better than that, but it's like I can't reach the keyboard the way I want to.